Richard Harris, born January 30th, 1948 and died on January 9th, 2025, better known by his ring name Black Bart, was an American professional wrestler. Personal life. A diabetic, Harris had heart bypass surgery in 2015, in July 2016. Harris was named part of a class action lawsuit filed against WWE, which alleged that wrestlers incurred traumatic brain injuries during their tenure and that the company concealed the risks of injury. The suit was litigated by attorney Constantine Kairos, who has been involved in a number of other lawsuits against WWE. U.S. District Judge Vanessa Lynn Bryant dismissed the case in September 2018. In September 2020, an appeal for the lawsuit was dismissed by a federal appeal court. Career. Early career, 1975 to 1981. Rick Harris began wrestling in 1975, adopting names such as Man Mountain Harris, Hangman Harris, and Hangman Ricky Harris. These early years saw him establish his presence in regional wrestling circuits. Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, 1981. Harris debuted in Jim Crockett Promotions as Ricky Harris, competing as a preliminary wrestler on the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling program. Georgia Championship Wrestling and Mid-South Wrestling, 1982. From January to May 1982, Harris wrestled in Georgia Championship Wrestling before transitioning to Mid-South Wrestling under his Hangman persona. He worked as a bounty hunter for Skandar Akbar during this period. Mid-Atlantic and Southeastern Championship Wrestling, 1982 to 1983. Returning to Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling in November 1982, Harris stayed until May 1983 before wrestling for Southeastern Championship Wrestling and All Japan Pro Wrestling later that year. Championship Wrestling from Florida, 1983 to 1984. In December 1983, Harris joined Championship Wrestling from Florida, forming the Long Riders tag team with Ron Bass. They won the NWA United States Tag Team titles, Florida, and feuded with Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda. Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, 1984 to 1986. Returning in August 1984, Harris and Bass were managed by J.J. Dillon. After splitting from Bass, Harris, now Black Bart, feuded with Ron Garvin, Terry Taylor, and Sam Houston, winning and defending the NWA Mid-Atlantic Championship. He developed his signature move, the Texas Trash Compactor. World Class Championship Wrestling, 1986 to 1987. In September 1986, Bart joined World Class Championship Wrestling, feuding with Chris Adams and Kevin Von Erich over the World Class title. After being awarded the title due to Adams' departure, Bart lost it to Von Erich a month later. Universal Wrestling Federation and Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, 1987 to 1988. Bart transitioned to the UWF and received a mid-card push in Jim Crockett Promotions, winning the NWA National Heavyweight Championship and the NWA Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Championship. World Class Championship Wrestling, 1988, and Professional Wrestling Federation, 1989. Bart returned to WCCW in 1988 and later joined the Professional Wrestling Federation in Florida in 1989, teaming with Bobby Jaggers and Tony Anthony while feuding with Dustin Rhodes and others. United States Wrestling Association, 1989. In Memphis, Bart feuded with Jerry Lawler and Jeff Jarrett. World Wrestling Federation, 1990 to 1991. Bart debuted in WWF in January 1990, primarily working as enhancement talent but securing some victories. He participated in debut matches for wrestlers like Dustin Rhodes and faced top talent, including the Legion of Doom and the Hart Foundation. World Championship Wrestling, 1991. In WCW, Bart joined the Desperados stable alongside Dutch Mantell and Deadeye Dick. Their comedic cowboy gimmick failed to gain traction, and the group dissolved by the end of the year. Late career, 1991 to 2002, 2006. Bart joined Global Wrestling Federation, winning the Brass Knuckles and Tag Team titles. He returned to WCW briefly in 1995 and continued wrestling in the independent circuit until retiring in 2002. He briefly re-emerged in 2006 for independent shows and NWA reunions. Legacy. As a trainer, Black Bart mentored notable wrestlers, including John Bradshaw Layfield and Necro Butcher. He also ran a wrestling school at the Dallas Sportatorium, contributing to the next generation of professional wrestlers. Illness and death. Harris was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer in 2022. On December 24, 2024, it was reported by Dutch Mantel on his Storytime with Dutch Mantel podcast that Harris had ceased chemotherapy treatment and returned home from hospital as his medical insurance ran out. He died on January 9, 2025, 3 weeks before his 77th birthday. Rest in peace, Richard Harris. Thank you for watching and kindly subscribe, like and share this video to family and friends.